Hey, you're listening to Ty Bollinger of CancerTruth.net. You're also listening to Justin and Kate with Extreme Health Radio. These guys are great. Enjoy listening to them. I always do.
Welcome to Extreme Health Radio. Extreme Health Radio.
Where natural solutions to almost every health condition are out there. Join us on our journey to find them.
Now here are your hosts,
Broadcasting from sunny Southern California around the world.
Justin and Kate Stellman.
Well, today, Kate, we are going to be, you're looking at me crazy.
Yeah.
We're going to be delving deep into the bowels of the mouth.
Oh, those are two different areas, but let's go there.
Oh, man.
It's a strange way to put that. But you're right.
We are going to have Will Revak on the show today, and he
Yay.
is calling us from Hawaii. So you could be listening in Tennessee. We're in California. He's in Hawaii. And
Aloha.
the magic of the internet. So
I
we'll be
love
introducing Will in just a moment. My name is Justin, and this is my wife,
Kate. Hello, everybody.
And like the lady said, we're broadcasting worldwide from Southern California. Last I checked, over 125 countries.
Really?
Crazy.
We added 5.
Added 5 more.
Nice.
Cameroon.
Nice. Okay.
You like that?
That's great.
People from Cameroon.
I don't know where that is.
So I want to thank all of you for joining us on today's show. It's going to be a good one. And I'm going to read you a quick little quote here, actually, from a guest that we had on, David Kennedy. And he says, it's on Will's website. If you are over 30 years old, chances are better than 90% that you have some form of gum disease. And we had him on episode number 53. So we're going to be talking about that with Will Revak. And if you'd like to follow us and what we're doing, we'd love to have you join our community. Be fun to interact with you on Facebook. You can do that by going to extremehealthradio.com/Facebook. Click the like button and you can share our content with your friends and join the community. And for reference, today is Wednesday, August 28th, 2013.
I know.
Amazing.
Crazy.
Amazing. And this is episode number 145. So if you have questions or comments, you want to reply to anything that Will says, you can just go to extremehealthradio.com/145. And Kate, the resident note taker, will be taking notes.
Secretary in house here.
during the interview. So no need to take notes. All of the links will be on episode 145. And if you'd like to join the show, there's lots of different ways you can do that. We'd love to have you join the show. You can email me, Justin at extremehealthradio.com.
Or Kate, Kate, at extremehealthradio.com.
And another good feature that you can use on our website is the voicemail feature. You can record it right from your computer. So you go to extremehealthradio.com/voicemail, all one word, and you can record a message or a question for a guest, and we'll play it on the air to him. And we have one of those today.
Yeah.
So that will be fun. And another thing, too, if you want to support our work, our website's 100% free. So you can just go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon. Anytime you make purchases there for the holidays or for anything, doesn't have to be health related. We'd love to have you support our work that way. We'll get a tiny little commission, but it all adds up.
Yes.
So thank you so much, everybody. And let's see, looking at our show schedule, we've got lots of good guests coming up. Drew Canole is going to be on. He'll be talking about fitness, success, motivation, and juicing. And his website's fitlife.tv. He's a prolific young buck down in San Diego. So we'll have him on. Then we've got Daniel Vitalis. He'll be talking about air.
There is always more to Daniel Vitalis than I can ever wrap my mind around.
I can guarantee you that he will make air the most fascinating, interesting subject you've ever heard about.
He has a way of doing that.
Yeah, we've got Billy Blanks Jr. going to be talking about some fitness tips and staying in shape.
Nice.
But today we're going to be, like I said, delving into the world deep in the bowels of the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got Will Revak, and he's the founder of Aura Wellness. And his wife, Susan, was diagnosed with advanced stage gum disease in 1997.
Gosh.
And his website is aurawellness.com. And he's the founder of the Healthy Mouth World Summit that we promote on our site. You can get to that by going to extremehealthradio.com/mouth. And his website's aurawellness.com. And he's got quite a unique story with Susan, his wife, having gum disease. And so now he's joining us from Hawaii. Thanks, Will.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, this is great.
So life is good when you're in Hawaii, huh?
We do our best to not how do I say, to not brag about it. We're very blessed. We're very, very blessed.
What, I know I talked with you off the air a few weeks back. What island are you on again?
We're on the island of Kauai with a K.
Ah, okay. That's our favorite
Our
vacation.
favorite island.
It's very, they say, jokingly, they say that once you're bitten by the aloha bug, there's no cure. And you just want to keep coming back again and again. It's not true for everyone, but there's a resonance factor that once you feel, you guys know each of the islands has their own vibration, their own sense about it. And Kauai is a very special feeling place for us as well.
And how long have you been there?
Well, we originally moved here in 2000. It's been a number of years.
Wow.
Wow. And so did you move to Kauai or did you kind of bounce around for a while?
Yeah, we actually originally moved to Big Island and swam with dolphins and said, oh, we want to do this every day, and kind of got enamored with that idea. And then just realized that swimming with dolphins ended up kind of being a Band-Aid for us trying to make life work on the Big Island, because it just wasn't working for us. And so we, on an intuitive whim, again, I rely very heavily on Susan's sense about things and her wisdom. And Susan said one day, why don't we go check out Hawaii again? Because we had originally come here and said, it's too small. We can't live here. But yeah, it's, we came here and it was like landing on a cloud. We're like, oh, this is what we were looking for.
Wow. So do you guys have island fever at all being over there?
No, actually, it's been, I just recently did step off the island not too long ago, but until that point, it was reaching 3 years since I'd left the island, and I was perfectly happy with that. We have a small farm here that keeps us always on our toes here, and I started the small farm intentionally to ground myself, really, to say, okay, Will, you've been really and footloose, and so let's just establish some roots here, and let's get some animals, and that way you can't go far, because I have animals to take care of every 12 hours that way.
Yeah.
Wow. So what kind of animals do you have? You said you had some chickens, but you're looking to get some ducks, right?
Yeah, we have chickens. We're looking at ducks potentially down the road. I've obviously studied the work of Dr. Weston Price. And when I came across Weston Price's work and read about the Swiss village that he talked about, how the Swiss really held up on high, the butter that was made from cows that were grazing on rapidly growing green grass. So in Switzerland, that's the spring and the fall. And I said, I know somewhere that grass grows rapidly 12 months a year. And so we have a small dairy, a couple of homestead cows here that we enjoy very much the fruits of their offerings to us.
Wow. That is just amazing. And so you have some cows, some chickens, looking to get some ducks. What else? What don't you have?
Llamas.
Yeah, no llamas.
Alpacas.
Got a couple of sweet cats, but other than that.
Wow. So that's amazing. So you went there in 2000. That was about 3 years after Susan was diagnosed with the gum disease. So were you guys already working with Aura Wellness at that point, or was that?
No, Aura Wellness was born out of Susan's diagnosis, the way that she handled it, and then for years, we would hear about friends and family that were having oral health issues, and we'd be like, hey, you might want to try this or that, and so, it was in 2007. I think around 2007, 2006, 2007, we essentially put a prayer out to God, the universe, whatever you want to call that which we all pray to, and said, okay, where's our home-based business that is really fulfilling, that really helps people, that does no harm, that more than gives us enough to live on, so we can, because we're both homebodies, we love to cook in the kitchen together, we just like to stay home, and we prayed and said, okay, where is this? It's got to do no harm. It's got to actually help people in a very real, meaningful way, and it has to be very fulfilling for us. And so those were really our primary focuses. And we said, okay, where is it? And then a couple of years passed. We're still sitting there waiting, and then we said, what? Maybe it's just this. Maybe people want to hear about your gum disease story. Maybe that's it. And so we had to overcome the initial, how shall I put this? The initial discomfort of, oh gosh, are we really going to talk about gum disease to the world?
Right.
It's true though. I mean, at first we said, oh, it's just not a very sexy subject, but we've since turned that around and said, actually, it's a very sexy subject, because if you can get bad breath under control, that's really sexy.
Exactly.
So, that's true. Wow. So quite a story. And so you've been working with Oral Wellness, and you have all kinds of products that we'll talk about later, but these are products that people can use on a daily basis for their health. And then you also have that Healthy Mouth Summit that you put together. And so you really have the education as well as the physical products for people to really turn their health completely around, right?
Very much so. I mean, for me, this is an educational mission. What we found is that it is almost entirely an educational factor. We just don't know as a culture the importance of oral health, the implications that oral health plays in body health, just all the connections there are just so profound that, and we're just taught, like I say in one of the free educational videos we have on our site, how to brush your teeth to reduce gum disease. The bottom line is this: we learn how to brush our teeth when we're like, 3 or 4?
Yeah.
What other skill set that we apply in our lives do we learn at that age and never revisit? So isn't it time that we learn to brush our teeth like adults? Right. And really revisit and look at the strategies that are there for us to learn if we choose to. So that's what we really help to do, is just to bring awareness to the importance of oral health and strategies and solutions that each of us can apply to navigate to greater oral health.
Oh, I love it.
Right.
Hey, Will, we have a little connection issue. I think Skype's acting up. Would you mind if I call you back on your landline?
Sounds good.
Excellent. Thanks, Will. Okay. We are unpaused. We're back live here with Will from Hawaii. So backing up a little bit with your wife and her gum disease.
Yeah.
So she got that diagnosis in 1997. And at that point, I saw from your video that she kind of looked into alternative methods because the doctors were telling her that the next thing that she would need is a surgery. So did she just kind of start researching right away and come up with alternative solutions?
Yeah, we're very alternatively minded all along. My wife and my background is in the Chinese longevity art. So we've been studying Qigong and arts like Tai Chi being one of the arts that we studied for almost 30 years now. So we're kind of fringe dwellers anyways, kind of outside conventional medical strategies as it is, because we're very aware of traditional Chinese medical approach. And so when my wife received that diagnosis and was told, here's the solution, she said, well, okay, I know that's not the only solution. So, if I have one empowering thought to offer anyone listening right now, so when you're given a diagnosis, especially when you're given a diagnosis and told, here is the only option, know that really what that medical practitioner means is, here is the only option I'm aware of.
Right.
And so she went about researching and ended up caring for her mouth on her own without surgery. And went back a year later to the same dentist, and the dentist said, wow, I must have misdiagnosed you last year because you're no longer showing signs of this. And my wife said, no, you didn't misdiagnose. I've been caring for this at home. You want to hear what I'm doing? And the dentist essentially said, no, just keep doing it. You're fine.
Oh.
Really? So the dentist wasn't even that concerned with how you corrected it?
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Needless to say, we didn't go back to that dentist.
Yeah. Wow, that's just crazy. So now she obviously has no issues with her gum disease at all?
Well, that's true. I mean, the most recent time that she went to a dentist, it was fun. We for many, many years, we didn't go to dentists. We just didn't feel the need to do so. And then what we ended up doing was going to a dentist, not too long ago. And the dentist said, wow, obviously you have had gum disease because she still has, signs of that in her mouth. There's no way around that. And he said, but you have no active signs of gum disease, which was kind of like a does not compute for this dentist because you just don't see that in the dental field, I imagine, very often.
Right.
Where a person has, it's like, you think of an auto accident, you got glass broken all over the street or whatever, but there's no signs of any damaged cars, or it's like, what's going on here? So
that's so interesting.
It was fun to get the feedback from that recent dentist that she has no signs of any gum disease in her mouth at this point. No active signs, I should say.
Yeah, that's so interesting because, her experience is just interesting to me because a lot of times when people get that diagnosis from a doctor, their first response is just to do whatever the doctor tells them to do. And like you said, the doctor will tell you, I've got, this is how you fix this problem through surgery. But in reality, that's all he knows. And so I'm wondering if more and more people these days are starting to go home and start to go to Google more,
I think so. Obviously, the internet is this incredible tool that humanity has to communicate with itself now. So our story here that has empowered thousands of people now since we launched the business, our story can now reach out to other people who are looking, who are saying, I'm going to look for another opinion. And we get calls and emails from people all the time saying, wow, I found your stuff because I just came back from the dentist and was told that I have periodontal disease or advanced gum disease, same thing. So, it's a very empowering, and that's really what our message is one of empowerment. If information and knowledge, that's the classic idiomatic expression, right? Knowledge of power.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I think that it's interesting with how many people, like in that quote I read from Dr. David Kennedy, if you're over 30 years old, the chances are more than 90% that you have some form of gum disease. I suspect that people with the diets they're on in today's world, today's culture, going to liquor stores and fast food places and not brushing after they eat, I suspect people, probably 99% of people are walking around with more than 2 or 3 cavities, wouldn't you say?
Well, the statistic that I'm aware of is that 98 out of every 100 men, women, and children, so including children in the story, 98% of us in the United States have some active form of oral disease. In other words, tooth decay or gum disease.
Okay. Wow.
So, 98%.
That's amazing, 98%. So why is it so important that people take care of this issue? And why is it more important than we think in traditional in culture? We just think, oh, there's something, cavity, I get it filled. Even if it's with a non-mercury filling, we don't really think it's that big a deal. Why is it a bigger deal, do you think, than we're being told?
Well, I believe that, when I interviewed the experts in the Healthy Mouth World Summit, one consensus we came to was that we as a culture have a tendency to over-compartmentalize the body. You have your internist from your cardiovascular, your cardiologist from your pulmonologist from your whatever, from your dentist. And so this over-compartmentalization, we don't have the broad generalist who's looking at the whole system. Kind of naturopathy is beginning to fill that niche now.
Yeah.
But we don't have these generalists that step back, and culturally we don't think from this really broad place of, well, what's the implications of the mouth for the health of the rest of the body? Mm-hmm. And frankly, the implications are humongous. And again, our background is in the Chinese longevity arts, and the Chinese paradigm of medicine is one of holism. It doesn't compartmentalize the body. It understands that the body is one unit and of one being, and you can't treat or care for one aspect without affecting the rest of it. And so it's just a different approach on it. It's not better; it's just different. And I, just for clarity here, for anyone listening, I believe that Western allopathic medicine has its super strong suits and skill sets and is extremely important. I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater here. However, if you're dealing with wide systemic issues, sometimes it's useful to have a more integrated approach and utilize tools that we have available to us, regardless of whether or not we understand them or they come from our culture. So So.
Right. And so I think it's becoming more and more mainstream that people are understanding that the teeth relate to different organs of the body. We were just speaking with someone today who was saying that their traditional dentist was telling them that, and that's pretty shocking.
That's great. That's great to hear that traditional dentists are talking about that.
Yeah. That was shocking to me. You don't hear that every day.
Yeah. It's amazing. So each tooth, is it right that each tooth reflexes to a particular organ? Can one tooth reflex to more than one organ, or how does all that work?
Yeah, we have a free interactive, what do we call it, a Meridian tooth chart on our website, which is a fun tool. It's an interactive tool that somebody can go on there and go, okay, I want to look at tooth number or whatever, and you don't have to know the numbers of teeth.
Okay.
Just click on whatever tooth you want, say, oh, I'm having pain here, for example, and see what organs it's related to. Because, see, here's the thing, okay, the teeth do relate to the various internal organs of the body, and it's kind of a two-way street. In other words, you can have an infection going on in the mouth that affects the internal organ, or you can have some imbalance going on in the internal organ that then shows up and kind of talks to you and is communicating to you through, oh, this is hurting in my mouth on whatever tooth.
Wow, that's interesting. It's a two-way street then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. So we got to take a short break. We're with Will Revak from aurawellness.com and also healthymouthsummit.com. And you can go to both those websites from our show link, or show page here, I should say. And that is extremehealthradio.com/145. And we'll be right back with Will right after this break. Rebounding is, in my mind, one of the best ways to detoxify your lymphatic system, and it's the only exercise on earth that will actually detoxify your lymphatic system. And your lymph system is responsible for storing toxins and chemicals and poisons that you're exposed to, and there's no pump for the lymph system. It doesn't have a heart, so you have to move it up and down, and it's filled with millions of one-way valves that get squeezed and pushed and opened and closed every time you jump. And we feel like we found the best rebounder on the market today. It's the Rolls Royce of rebounding. It's called the Bellicon. And I highly, highly stand behind this product. It's absolutely amazing. If you want to hear what some of our guests said about it, check them out on our store. You can listen to what a lot of our guests have said about rebounding, and the Bellicon in particular. So a lot of times people will go on the rebounder with oxygen for cancer if they're really sick. And it's one of the most powerful things you can do to cleanse your body and to exercise every single cell in your body, every organ in your body. It's the only internal organ exercise you could do. And it's absolutely incredible. It also helps to rebuild bone density because of the up and down motion, the G-force that gets applied to every cell of your body, and it tightens and tones your body, and it's just really, really great aerobic exercise. And the Bellicon is made with straps, these bungee cords instead of springs, so it's silent and they have a warranty on it. It's the best rebounder on the market today. So if you're in the market for one, I would highly recommend just saving up and getting the Bellicon, because there's no other rebounder on the market that's better than this thing. I firmly believe that. So if you're interested in it, check it out, extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. That's B as in boy, ELLICON. And you can learn more about it and watch the videos on that page too. So thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy your rebounder, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
All right, we're having a good time here with Will Revak from aurawellness.com and the Healthy Mouth World Summit.com. And he's calling us from Hawaii, which is an amazing place. Kauai, our favorite island.
Very favorite island.
Yes. And also, I want to let you guys know, too, don't forget to check out that rebounder. The Bellicon is the best rebounder on the market. It's so good, and I think you guys will love it. It's worth saving up and buying because it's just so well put together. It's the best one that we have found. on the market. And also, don't forget, as the lady said, to follow us on Facebook if you want to keep up to date with our shows and upcoming guests and all of that. So you can always follow us on Facebook and join the community that way. And before the break, we were talking about how our teeth actually have a two-way connection to different organs in the body, which is really interesting stuff.
I think that's surprising to a lot of people. I mean, when I first heard that, it kind of blows you away. You're like, they're what?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, we're not used to thinking, like he said, this. It's connected to every area of our body. This is amazing. And so, Will, a lot of people are dealing with these days, especially these days, root canals, and I have one myself. I go to a biological dentist out in Texas, and I know a lot of people have these root canals in their mouths like I do, and we want to get them fixed. And what are some of the things we should be looking for as far as root canals go?
Well, this is a really kind of a raffle of a subject that we need to cover. And first of all, I want to say something here about root canals in general. First of all, I'm just the messenger of this information. We learn from experts in the field that have really done the work and the research on this subject. And also I want to pause here and say that anybody listening who has a root canal, realize that stress and fear, that the stress that fear causes undermines our immune response almost more than anything we can do. So if you hear something here that freaks you out, chill out. You're not going to die tomorrow. It's not I just don't want to freak anyone out with this information, because it is stressful information, especially if we already have a root canal in our mouth. And since the focus of our business is on the forward side, we're looking to help people and provide solutions. The last thing I want to do is to freak someone out who's listening here who has a mouthful of root canals. Yeah. But that said, we may be able to shed some light on explaining why they might be experiencing less than optimal health and why they might want to look at their mouth as a causal influence for that.
Interesting.
Okay?
Yeah. So the root canals are essentially a dead organ, a dead tooth in the body. Is that how it works?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a dentist will perform a root canal when the decay reaches the pulp chamber or the inner chamber of the tooth. And so what dentistry has decided is that it's okay to drill that nerve out and essentially kill it to cap off the root tips and leave the tooth there. And the presumption there really is kind of antiquated. It comes from the idea that teeth aren't living tissue, which is a mistake. Teeth are actually very living tissue. I mean, they have nerve conduction. They have a capillary that runs in one root and out the other root for teeth that have more than one root. It's a very living tissue. And so nowhere else in medicine would it be acceptable to leave dead tissue in a living body, because, I mean, medicine, it's like a no 101 for medicine, because that tissue is going to become gangrenous, and then it's going to poison and create toxins that are going to kill the body.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, right.
So, I don't want to kill this whole subject of root canals, because I do believe that it's not a black and white issue for us. That said, there's enough concerns for me about root canals that I frankly will never have one. I don't see that is really a viable option at this point.
That's interesting. So, well, you probably will never have one because of your specific diet and the way you take care of your teeth. But if people do have them, what would you suggest? I guess just more education, right? First of all.
Yeah, actually, we're almost through with a blog series that we're writing on this exact subject. It's a subject that we get a lot of questions from in our community. And we started out just laying out the risks as we understand them and weighing the risks and the relative benefits of root canals. And then we went into, really dissecting the question, okay, I have a root canal, what are my options? And so one of the options that we discussed is to have the tooth removed. And as painful as that is to contemplate, when you really look at it, is keeping a tooth in your mouth more important than maintaining the health of the body? Now, I mean, we are talking about some pretty gnarly issues here. I mean, Robert Gamble, one of the experts we interviewed on the Healthy Mouth World Summit, is a world expert on root canals. I mean, he literally made a full-length documentary movie on the issue. And Robert Gamble told me that he has lost count of the number of women who have had root canal teeth removed and have since watched the fibrous cystic breast tissue, the precancerous tissue in their breast, go away.
Really? Just as a result of that?
Yeah, just by removing the toxic burden.
Oh, wow.
That is amazing. And golly.
That's kind of intense.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's other things it could relieve as well by getting those out.
Well, yeah, I mean, the list is very long. Again, if we go back to the meridian tooth charts and you look and see, for example, where the root canal is, then you're going to have a clue as to what organ systems it might impact. I'll give you an example. We have a dear friend who, when we first put this meridian tooth chart on our website, we sent it out to our community saying, hey, check out this new fun tool here. And our friend wrote us back saying, oh my God, I'm freaked out because I only have one root canal in my mouth. I'm only taking meds for my thyroid, and the root canal is on a tooth that relates to my thyroid. Oh. So it's just like a major aha for her to see the correlation.
Wow. You know, Will, we've got a listener question here. We're going to play this right now because it actually corresponds directly to what we're talking about right now, root canals and things. So let me go ahead and play this for you.
Hi. So my husband has wisdom teeth that grow a bit under an angle, and so he's been advised by his dentist to remove the teeth. And we are concerned because, as we know, all the teeth are connected to different organs in our bodies. And so, other than growing at an angle, the teeth are perfectly healthy. And so we're thinking perhaps it makes sense to just maybe put a crown on the tooth so it doesn't restrain the growth of other teeth. But at the same time, removing the tooth just seems a bit too much. So I would love to hear your advice on that. And also, perhaps there is a list of biological dentists. So, like, if we live in the Bay Area, where could I find out more information about, where to find the biological dentist, basically, in my area? Thank you so very much for everything that you guys are doing. Thank you for the shows and all the information. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
So what would you have to say for Caro?
This whole issue of wisdom teeth is another kind of a tricky subject, and it's not a black and white one for us. The mainstream dentistry, by and large, does want to prophylactically remove wisdom teeth. In other words, just pull them all out. I did. I had my wisdom teeth removed back when I was a late teenager, and it's just kind of something that a lot of people do, kind of like in the, I guess the 60s or 70s. I don't know if they're doing it anymore, but they would prophylactically remove tonsils, just like, they're going to get in the way, get them out of there. And then we find out, wait a second, they do have a function in the immune system. So wisdom teeth are, first of all, God gave us 32 teeth for a reason. So I'm not into having anything removed that doesn't need to be removed.
Yeah.
That said, wisdom teeth are problematic because they're way back there. And also we have to look at the influence that our parents and our grandparents' diet has played on our facial structure. Now, this is really going a little bit deep here, but let's have some fun with this quickly.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Our diets impact, let me just take it on myself. My diet impacts the facial structure that my future children and grandchildren may experience. Okay, this is straight out of the Pottinger's prophecy and the field of epigenetics. It's just flat out true. Okay, if we have, and Dr. Weston Price's work, if we have sufficient nutrition in our diet, our facial structure, our dental arch is going to come in larger, broader, and have space for all 32 teeth. Mm-hmm. If, on the other hand, our family was kind of raised on a Twinkie diet like I was, you tend to come with kids that have narrower facial structures, and then you get malocclusion or crooked teeth and crowded teeth as a result.
Mm-hmm.
So some of it could be that. If a person just frankly doesn't have space in their jaw for all the teeth, then, hey, having the wisdom tooth out might be the wise way to go. If a person is going to have a wisdom teeth removed, one thing I do have to say is make darn sure that the dentist who removes that tooth does a very thorough job of cleaning out the socket. This is a real bone of contention for some biological dentists that one of the modern grandfather of biological dentistry or holistic dentistry is Dr. Hal Huggins.
Uh-huh.
And Hal wrote the books, literally multiple books on the dangers of mercury back in the 80s. So, Hal's been at it for a while. And Hal's point about wisdom teeth is they very often, when you have them pulled, they very often create they kind of encapsulate, the socket doesn't get cleaned out sufficiently, and it can be a source point for bacterial infection to the rest of the body. It's called a cavitation.
Okay.
And it's definitely a problem to look at. So if a person, for example, has their wisdom teeth out already, and they have jaw issues, and they have, pain in the way back in the mouth, it very well might not be teeth. It might be cavitations at the wisdom teeth sites that were removed. And unfortunately, really what it is it's just kind of like this drag on the immune system. It just takes from you. Your body can't mount a full immune response to be able to get over it, and so you're just running at a lower speed than you could be, which that's a problem in my opinion, because if we're running at a lower octane than our immune response really could be ideally, then we're a more suitable host for whether you're talking about gum disease or any other kind of opportunistic disease out there.
Mm.
So, you want that site cleaned out. Well, I would highly encourage you to go to a dentist that utilizes ozone in dentistry in their office. Ozone works very, very well to help clear out cavitation sites as well as to clean out that socket when the wisdom teeth is removed, or the wisdom tooth is removed. Now, here's the kind of tying it all together here for you guys.
Yeah.
The wisdom teeth on the meridian tooth chart relate to the heart. So I don't know. I'm not going to say that there's a direct correlation, but heart disease is still a humongous issue in our culture. And obviously it's related to dietary fats, as we all know very well, because we're out there on the fringe there, and we don't have to beat the lipid hypothesis to death here on your show, because I'm sure you have other experts to do that. But the bottom line is, if we, as a culture, have our wisdom teeth removed, and the wisdom teeth have a tendency to cavitate, and we have these pockets of bacterial infection in our jawbone there that the immune system can't get really on top of, that relate to the heart, that might be an influence there.
Wow, that's really interesting. We got to take a short break here, but I want to find out some answers. If there's a list of biological dentists that we can all get to, and
I have a question for him too about the wisdom teeth when we come back.
Yeah, I've got lots more questions for Will Revak from aurawellness.com, and we'll be right back with him right after this short break. So a few years ago, when I was working for this company, it was a really small company, and I had been wanting a Vitamix blender for years and years and years, but they're so expensive, and I just hadn't saved the money at that time to get one. And so as a Christmas bonus, they knew that I loved the Vitamix, so they got me a Vitamix, the 5000 blender. And that thing is so incredible. It was right at the beginning of my raw food journey, and I was using it about 3 times a day, really. Today, I still use it about twice a day to make blended smoothies and things like that. But the Vitamix blender is really, really great. And if you go to extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix, that will redirect you over to there, and then you'll be able to purchase that, and we'll get a commission for your order. And you'll also get free shipping too, so that'll be great for you if you're interested in saving about $25 on the shipping. And with the Vitamix, you can make sauces and dips and bread. You could make ice cream with it. I've done a lot of ice cream. You can just make the most incredible things. And it's my favorite because it's got a tamper on it. And you can put ice and frozen berries and avocado and some honey and things like that, and with no water at all, and you have that tamper, and you can make the most amazing ice creams with it. So The Vitamix is my favorite blender of choice, and if you're in the market to buy one, I would greatly encourage you to do so if you have the money for it. And if you do it through us, through extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix, I'll get a little commission for it, and you'll get free shipping. So it works out for you and for us too. So if you're in the market, please do it through us. That'd be really cool. And you're going to love this thing when you get it. You're going to fall in love with it. You'll never go back to a regular blender again. So check that out, extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix, and I hope you enjoy it.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
All right, we're having a great time here with Will Revak from oralwellness.com and getting a crash course on oral health and oral pathology and wisdom teeth we're talking about. Good stuff. I want to let you guys know also to don't forget to check out the Vitamix if you're in the market for one of those things. Really great machines. We love them. We use them about twice a day, every single day. If you go through us, we'll get free shipping. Or you will get free shipping. So don't forget to check that out. And as the lady said, sign up to our email newsletter list. We'll only email you about once a week. And we'll give you a great ebook, Lessons from the Miracle Doctors, all about natural health and healing and protocols for reversing disease naturally. Good stuff. So anyway, get that out of the way. And we are with Will Revak from Oral Wellness. And before the break, we're talking about wisdom teeth. And I know it's a big issue in our culture today. And Kate, during the break, you were...
Yeah, I was just wondering, Will, I mean, I'm sure I feel stupid, but I've never really thought about it. What is like you said, God gave us a certain amount of teeth we're supposed to have. What was or is the main function of having those wisdom teeth that we're either utilizing or not? And do you think because they're all kind of laying underground and most people's don't even surface, are we supposed to have them surface and we're not because we're depleted of minerals, and maybe that even means that we're supposed to be eating more meats and things like that? Or what's your take on those teeth and why they're so important?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't really have a good answer for you, Kate. I don't think. I mean, okay. The wisdom teeth are there, just like all of our teeth, to be able to provide us the chewing surface that we need in order to process the food that we take into the body. Mm-hmm. I presume that the reason that they come in later, if you visualize like a nutcracker, okay, you never put a nut that you want to crack at the farthest end part of the nutcracker. You always put it closest to the joint.
Oh, right. Uh-huh.
And so those wisdom teeth have a lot of bang for their buck. Mm. You're really getting in there and chewing things at a very deep level. And if you look at the natural, the mouth, there's a system called Peristalsis, which is essentially the way that the body undulates food through all the way until it leaves us at the colon. Okay? Mm. So Peristalsis begins in the mouth. If you notice, you put something in your mouth, you taste it, you chew it up. It starts in the front of your mouth. We don't even think about this, but it works its way to the molars, and then we swallow it. Mm-hmm. And it's just a natural part of the process of ingesting and consuming and assimilating food. And then it works its way through the intestines and the whole 9 yards. The wisdom teeth play their role in that, in my opinion, because they're there to be chewed on as we masticate our food and swallow it down.
Oh.
That's so interesting.
That makes sense. We don't ever think about this kind of stuff.
I know, most people don't. Do you think it's really that critical of an issue if someone has a wisdom tooth or wisdom teeth that are coming in and it's kind of crowding the mouth? I mean, it seems to me like I would rather just floss more and take better care of my teeth rather than having them be removed, because as she said in her call, she realizes that every tooth corresponds to an organ in your body. And I think you mentioned earlier that the wisdom teeth correspond to the heart. So is it that big a deal to have your wisdom teeth crowd out other teeth? Is it that big a deal?
Well, that's why it's not a real black or white issue for us. Because it can be a problem. I mean, if a tooth is way back there and we're not really effectively cleaning it, then it's going to get decayed, and presumably it's going to get decayed. I mean, most of us are dealing with that at one level or another because our diets are, for the most part, miserably depleted of what they need to be. So if a wisdom tooth gets heavily decayed, then the tooth can die, and then you essentially have a root canal in your mouth, whether you know it or not, and a dead tooth sitting in the back of your mouth. Mm-hmm. So, it is kind of problematic. You don't want to leave something. Essentially, here's the takeaway from this whole talk together, guys, today. Pay attention to your mouth. I believe that we have this psychic disconnect from our mouths, and I've got an opinion as to why this is the case. Obviously, we all use them very much, some of us, obviously more than others. But we all use them, but we have this disconnect because we never physically see them. Uh-huh. Okay, we can see them in a mirror, but it's kind of surreal. It's kind of like, that's really not my mouth. But even though we use them all the time, we don't pay attention to what's going on in our mouth. And if we don't pay attention to what's going on in our mouth, then that sets the stage for this breakdown in health, in my book, because the mouth, truly in the traditional Chinese medical view, the mouth is the center of the body. And if you think about it kind of logically, it does start the process. It is our number one avenue of putting things in our body, as far as things that are going to be either harmful or helpful for us.
Yeah, it's interesting in my life. I'm sure everyone listening to this can attest to this as well. When you look at people who are really, really sick, whether it's cancer or heart disease or any number of different diseases, it's just interesting, the correlation that you can always see if someone's had a lot of root canals or a lot of cavitations or crowns or fillings, mercury fillings. It's just a weird correlation, but it makes sense that there's a connection here. And I wonder if people really took care of their mouths, if that would increase life expectancy.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can just ponder that one, but I believe that there is an influence, and that's really our mission here, is to support people, however long we are on the planet, whether or not taking better care of our mouths would increase that longevity. I tend to believe yes, but also it's going to increase one's vitality and experience here while on the planet, I believe. I want to touch on a couple of things. There was a famous, arguably the most famous integrative oncologist, so, kind of a fringe guy that integrated all different tools and modalities, cancer doctor of the 20th century, Dr. Joseph Issels, Issels. He actually kind of is famous. Bob Marley went to him in the last days of his life and wanted to see if Dr. Issels could help him with his issues before he passed, but obviously he got there too late.
Wow.
Dr. Issels is quoted to have said that 97% of all cancers have a causal influence from the mouth, jaw, and tonsils. 97%. So is this guy just a fool? And if so, why is he recognized as one of the most famous integrative oncologists of the last century? Or was he onto something?
Yeah, that's amazing. 97% have a causal influence.
Right, meaning the mouth, jaw, and tonsils causes the cancer. That's a pretty heavy-duty hitter statement there, and I'm not making it, but I'm just being the messenger of sharing that. That's what Dr. Issel said. So that makes me kind of listen up and go, okay, if we address the mouth better, if we care for our mouths, if we pay attention to what's going on in our mouth, are we going to live a healthier life? Yeah, that's been my experience.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you know, like the lady said, if there is a master list, or I'm sure there's some kind of list people can get of biological dentists in their area, do you think?
You bet. Thanks for reminding me of that. We have a number of lists, and I said, wow, wouldn't it be great if all these were in one place? So we wrote a blog post called Helpful Resources to Find a Qualified Dentist to Assist You. It's on our site at orawellness.com, ORAwellness.com on our blog. And it lists out, 5 or 6 different databases that you can search through. Some of them are easier to search than others, but essentially what we did is we just put a bunch of databases together of various different groups out there, like you mentioned David Kennedy. David is one of our mentors and heroes. The International Association of Oral Medicine and Toxicology, the IAOMT, has a good list out there. So that's one of the lists on our blog post.
Okay, what is the actual? Yeah, what's the name of that blog post again?
Helpful resources to find a qualified dentist to assist you.
Okay, excellent. We will post a link. We'll find that on your blog. Lots of great stuff on his blog. I'm looking at it now. Options if you have a missing tooth is the title of one. I have a root canal. What are my options? Can a simple filling impact our whole body health? Understanding the issues with root canals, part 1. Why we don't drink kombucha. That sounds like a good.
Oh no, I don't know if I want to read that one. I love that stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, lots of good information on the site.
Yeah, so we'll put a link to that article on oralwellness.com so people can find that on extremehealthradio.com/145 if they're interested. And let's see, so we have a listener question here from Diane, and I want to make sure we get this in. She says that I have an old crown that I believe has an infection in it, as the gums around that tooth and surrounding area have turned a darker color for the past 4 years. I've had 2 teeth that cracked a few years ago and had to be extracted, and currently have a front tooth starting to crack. I would love to be able to find a biological dentist in the Denver area who has studied under Hal Huggins from Colorado Springs. Thank you so much for your comments, Diane.
So for Diane, there's a couple of things here that jump out at me. First of all, if you're dealing with teeth cracking, you really, really have to look beyond the mouth as to why this is happening.
Okay.
And there's a lot to this subject. Diet obviously plays a humongous role. Stress plays a big role. People grind their teeth. Some people grind their teeth at night, which puts, a boatload of stress on your teeth and your gum tissue. But to get back to the crown in particular, the body is smart. The body has an innate intelligence about it that when it identifies something that is not contributing to the overall health, it will begin to eject it. To basically say, you're out, you're causing more harm than good. This is commonly found with root canal teeth, where the crowns that are buggering the body, that the body will begin to get rid of it. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily the body getting rid of it, or that, let's say, the crowns, a lot of crowns have nickel in them, and nickel is a toxic metal. So that's a problem. And it becomes a source point for infection that weakens the surrounding tissues, that then opportunistic bugs from gum disease can come in and take up residency. So it's, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, we don't really know there, but it does seem that when you have an existing condition like that, if you want to keep that tooth, you need to get control of the gum infection. If you've got discoloration in gum tissue, then that means there's infection. And in fact, let's just really hit on this one, because this is really our kind of our black and white litmus test for someone out there that has any type of gum issues going on. If you floss, and I'm not talking about damaging the gum, but I'm just talking about flossing. If you floss and you find any blood, any color on that floss, whether it's yellow or red, then that's a no-brainer sign of infection. That is undisputable, because somebody can say, well, yeah, maybe I have some gum recession, maybe I don't. Maybe I have some redness in my gum tissue, maybe I don't. But there's no arguing whether you got blood on your floss or not. So that's our litmus test. So if you really want to know what's going on, floss your teeth consciously, look at it each time that you floss between each set of teeth, and then, you'll know whether you got something going on to where you need to be able to take action or not.
Wow.
Okay, so if you have any blood on your flosser thing, then you have some form of gum disease. Yeah, interesting. And and so the teeth cracking, is that probably a dietary thing related to minerals, maybe, or?
Yeah, I would say so. Not only would it be mineral imbalance in the system, most likely, but it would also be mineral assimilation, mineral absorption, because I believe that the system, our bodies are not as simplistic as, for example, I have weak teeth, so I need to take calcium supplements. It's not that simple. It's just not, it's not like an automobile. we're an organic living being that functions together. So I believe that, for example, I was speaking to a woman yesterday who has tendencies towards osteoporosis and arthritis. Well, let's dissect this for a second, and it will relate back to the cracking teeth here. Osteoporosis and arthritis. Osteoporosis is a porosity of the bone, presumably because we don't have enough calcium in the system, right? Calcium and phosphorus are your main minerals that make up bone tissue. Well, and then arthritis is free-floating calcium in the system that the body said, oh my God, we got too much calcium here. We got to throw it onto the ends of the bones and just stow this away. Well, how on earth is that possible? And so it's not just a mineral issue per se as being short of calcium or too much calcium, but a mineral absorption issue. I believe that we are not what we eat. We're what we can absorb and assimilate.
That's a good way to put that.
Yeah, interesting. So what are some of your top things that you do to prevent cavities, tooth decay? I'm sure it starts with a specific diet as well as a maintenance program of how you take care of your teeth. What are some of the top things that you and Susan do?
Well, you're correct, Justin, in that you have to address this both from an in-the-mouth as well as a system-wide approach if you really want to ideally address it. So in the mouth, obviously, to lower the bad bugs present in the mouth is very helpful. So brushing does help. Flossing does help. There's plenty of studies that show that. We are not fans of fluoride because although there are studies that show that fluoride ostensibly does lower the number of bugs on the teeth, if you do so at the expense of your whole body immunological health, then you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
I see.
So we're not fans of fluoride. I don't believe that it has any place in the body. There's no, like David Kennedy has taught us, fluoride has no function for mammalian species. There's no benefit for fluoride in the system. We just don't need it.
Okay, right.
Okay. So that said, dietarily, we go back to the research of Dr. Ralph Steinman from Loma Linda College. Ralph Steinman did research and identified essentially to become cavity-free, we need to live stress-free lives, and we need to eat really, really well. And so, there's a couple of things I'll throw out here as far as gems that people can apply in their lives right now. The research clearly shows that if you want to navigate to greater oral health from a dietary standpoint, eating moderate amounts of animal protein at every meal is crucial.
Okay,
it's very, very important because really what we're dealing with here, and I don't know if we have enough time to really dive into the subject fully, but really what we're dealing with here is a blood chemistry balance of minerals. If our blood phosphorus dips below a certain threshold, then we are more prone towards decay. And if our blood phosphorus is above that threshold, we are less suitable hosts, our bodies just function better, and we are able to resist decay much, much, much better.
Okay.
And in order to maintain blood phosphorus, we need to be able to have the things that help us maintain blood phosphorus are moderate amounts of animal protein at each meal. So that's like your classic eggs for breakfast is great. Some we're not talking about a huge steak at every meal. We're just talking about 2 to 3 ounces if that works for your own body.
Okay.
And I want to differentiate here that animal protein is important compared to vegetable protein simply because it's shaped differently. Our biochem books are in 2D. It's on flat drawings, and a protein is a protein. But, in reality, it's a 3D molecular structure, and they're not shaped the same. So you're dealing with a different key for a lock if you want to repair tissue damage.
Okay.
And animal protein, in my book, and my research, shows that animal protein is crucial for repairing tissue damage.
Okay.
So that's number one. Number two, I'm going to throw sugar under the bus, but for a different reason than mainstream dentistry would. Mainstream dentistry would tell you that eating sugar is going to feed the bugs on your teeth, and the bugs on your teeth are going to create acids, and that's going to eat away at your teeth and cause decay.
Okay.
And whether that's true or not is kind of a side issue for me because eating sugar actually throws this blood phosphorus balance off really, really well.
Oh, okay.
And so, it goes back to the blood phosphorus issue. If our blood phosphorus is off, then we're going to be more prone to decay. And sugar skews that heavily. And in particular, what Dr. Ralph Steinman found was snacking sugary foods between meals. It's one thing to have, if you want to have an ice cream sundae once a week, go for it. Enjoy it whole hog. Dig in and enjoy. But it's a very different thing to, and I'm going to swallow the sacred cow here, to drink a kombucha through your day.
Huh.
Oh, I see.
Because,
okay.
It's the regular doses of sugar that just regularly suppress the blood phosphorus, and then your body never has a chance to be resistant to decay. Whereas if you go cold turkey from all sugars for 6 days a week, and then like Tim Ferriss says in the 4-Hour Body Idea, hey, enjoy it one day a week. Go for it. Dig it. Then at least 6 days a week you're functioning. Your body's able to have a proper blood phosphorus balance, essentially, is what it is. And then you'll be more resistant to decay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so the blood, the phosphorus ratios in the teeth and the blood actually have a direct correlation to whether or not this bacteria starts growing on the teeth and then becomes cavities and sets the whole cycle going.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay. So let's see, what else? So eating some more animal foods during the day and lowering your sugars, and that would probably include fruit sugars, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and some of the higher fruit sugars are like bananas and oranges, I think, right?
Yeah, here in Hawaii, you'd think, you probably eat bananas and papayas and pineapples all the time, but we don't.
You don't.
It's just not. And part of this goes back to Hal Huggins and Melvin Page's work with ancestral diets.
Uh-huh.
The Polynesian people can function really well eating bananas, but I'm not Polynesian, and so I don't function well eating bananas. I do enjoy some organic blueberries in a kefir smoothie that I make on a daily basis.
Okay.
So that's there's my sugar for the day. Essentially, is I'll have a small handful of blueberries in a smoothie on a daily basis. But I believe that it's negligible. You're dealing with a really, as far as a benefit, a very high benefit fruit, in my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard Hal Huggins say that he can have about 1 or 2 pieces of fruit or 3 per week, and that's about the limit to what he can have.
Right.
That's amazing. So,
Will, do you think there's anything good about people using baking soda on a daily basis, just after swishing around in their mouth to kind of alkalinize things, or?
I do believe that there's something to that, Kate. There's the research is still out there as far as whether baking soda is safe to brush with. I tend to think it is.
Uh-huh.
So if a person wants to brush with soda, I think it's a fine thing to do.
Okay.
Obviously, it's not so much the what you brush with, but how you brush. Again, bringing consciousness to the action is going to go a heck of a lot further than what you brush with. But yeah, the alkalinization issue, I believe, does play a role. It's ideal that our mouths become naturally more alkaline by our diets and our lifestyle. Obviously, stress is acidic. So we got to, again, going back to Steinman's work, we got to live as stress-free as our life as we can and eat according to our ancestral diet.
Yeah, I totally agree. How long do you think how often should they wait before they swap out their toothbrushes and their flosser tools, and what should they soak them in? Some people soak them in hydrogen peroxide and things. What do you think about all that?
Well, I'm kind of a silly one on this one because I'm not concerned about bugs hanging out on a toothbrush too much.
Okay.
These bugs, although they do live in oxygen-rich environments, they don't do well in oxygen-rich environments. They're anaerobic bacteria, and they like low-oxygen environments, like in a gum pocket, to thrive. So if a person wants to clean their toothbrush, soaking the head of the toothbrush in peroxide overnight is a great step to do that, great tool to do that. Another route, frankly, sun is one of the best detoxifiers we have. So just setting it on a sunny windowsill.
Oh, okay.
So,
Wow.
And as far as changing it, if I wanted to sell more toothbrushes, I suppose I'd tell you to change it like everybody else says every 3 months. But frankly, I have toothbrushes that I've used for more than 6 months, and they're perfectly fine.
Okay.
It's just a matter of whether the brush has its functional shape. Obviously, if the person is a brush chewer,
Right.
then they're going to want to change their brush more often because the brush is there for a purpose. It has a specific function for it.
Yeah, that's interesting because you're the first person I've heard who said that about the bacteria that are living on the actual toothbrush itself. And so many people in our culture are freaked out by that, and they think that's disgusting. But I think it really goes back to what you were saying before is, it's not bacteria and viruses and these things that are attacking us and killing us.
Right.
It's more our internal environment and our phosphorus ratios and inside our bodies and what we're doing to feed or deplete that through our diet. And that's really the core issue is as far as what you're saying, right?
Yeah, if I can put that in my own words, Justin, I believe it's primary and secondary.
I see.
Primary is the host of the individual, the host, us. How are we doing immunologically? Secondary is germ theory. If we put germ theory number 1 and cellular theory number 2, then we've got it backwards. Then we become bacteriophobic and we start using antibacterial soaps and stuff like that, and that's a slippery slope because now you're always trying to fight disease instead of create health first. If we create health first and then secondarily apply germ theory protocols like cleaning your toothbrush or whatever you're going to brush your teeth with, then you're really heading in the right direction in my book.
Do you think it's necessary for people to go and get their teeth cleaned and go to the dentist once a year or 6 months or every 6 months like they really want you to do?
Well, that really depends on the level of responsibility that a person has taken for their health.
Okay.
I recently went to a dentist and met a new dentist, made friends with him over on Maui. I'm really pleased to have a connection with him. And I sat down in his chair, and he said, wow, I'm really having trouble finding any plaque here to be able to check what bugs are in your mouth, because there are some dentists out there who, for example, will take a sample of your plaque and put it on a microscope, and then tell you what species of bugs you have going on in your mouth. And if you have certain bugs, then that's a greater propensity towards various issues. And he said, wow, I'm really having trouble finding plaque to remove to check what type of bugs you have in your mouth. Did you recently get a cleaning? And I said, no, I haven't had a cleaning in like 8 years.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm not telling somebody to not get cleanings. What I'm saying is that if you take responsibility for your oral health, or the extent to which you do take responsibility for your own health and shoulder that burden of responsibility, then the likelihood of needing somebody else to do it diminishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I agree.
Do you think it's necessary, or actually I should ask this, do you think that if people feel like they have some sort of the start of cavities, they have maybe a little bit of stickiness when they touch their teeth together, or little black spots, do you think that if people were to educate themselves, they could turn around the beginnings of cavities, the beginnings of tooth decay, they can completely reverse all that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the first step is just understanding what's going on and then getting educated about all this.
Totally, yeah. I mean, just like we say, on our site, number one step is finding out what's going on in your mouth, is healing the psychic disconnect that we have with our own mouths, and seeing what's going on in your own mouth with your own hands, and not necessarily only listening to what a dental professional says as far as what's going on in your mouth, but really seeing what's going on for yourself, because then you're empowered to make positive change and to be able to make a discerning choice whether or not you want to, have a cavity filled or look to remineralize it. But yeah, I mean, provided that we're talking about a shallow cavity, even deep cavities can remineralize. It becomes more problematic because then you have the actual cavity, the hole in your tooth that is just going to be a problem spot. But you can, the teeth naturally create what's called secondary dentin. You will remineralize, you will harden areas provided that you've taken the steps to do so that we've begun to discuss here today.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Good stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much for spending some time, taking an hour out of your Hawaiian day for us.
Oh, you bet, guys. It's been my pleasure.
So good. Thank you so much. Anything that you have going on, any projects that you're working on coming up in the future?
We've always got stuff brewing, but nothing I want to necessarily share here. If I can if I can add one little tidbit that I like to add when we do interviews like this, to bring it back into a more holistic space, you really want to consider, anybody listening to this, I encourage you to consider the toxins that you let out of your mouth, as well as the toxins that you put in your mouth, and the impact that the words that we speak have on our own immunological health, as well as the immunological health of the people around us. You know, it's toxic speak that we're talking about here, and if we speak poisons, then our bodies are going to be more poisoned, in my opinion. So if we want to bring this mindfulness into a broader space, really looking at not only what we're putting in our mouths as far as food or what products we're using in our mouths, but also taking responsibility for the words that we allow to come out of our mouths. Like India Ari, one of our favorite musical artists, says, "Speak words of beauty and you'll be there."
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really, really good.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, because
that's so true.
Yeah, it takes it to more. It's more than just a physical food thing. It's much deeper than
It's
that.
a way of being, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm so glad you shared that. That's powerful.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for giving people hope, too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when people go to dentists, they feel like there's no hope and they have to have cavities, crowns, or root canals and surgery and things. So thank you for the work you do and giving people hope for all this stuff.
It's our pleasure. That's really, you've hit it right there on the head, Justin, that we are here to help and to provide people with empowering options. Just the knowledge alone does it.
Yeah, I love it. I love the work you do. So thanks a lot, Will. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Aloha.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Wow. So what did you think of Mr. Will Revak?
What did you think of Mr. Will Revak? You always ask me first.
I always ask. I beat you to the punch, don't I?
Yeah, you did.
Nah, he's just great. We just spoke with him for about 10 minutes off the air. Just a great guy.
Yeah.
And he's really sincere, which is what I really like. You know, he really means everything he says.
He does. He is all about helping people, and you can just see it. He exudes that out of his exudes. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Out of his heart.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
We barely tapped on that many issues. I mean, we could have got into so many more issues.
I know.
But I feel like we just barely scratched the surface with him.
I know.
And he, as you can tell, knows a lot about health. And he's the actual guy behind the Healthy Mouth World Summit, which we promote. And if you are looking for a crash course on this kind of stuff, you can imagine how much he knows, but he's the one asking the questions in the summit. So he's just super knowledgeable. The summit is amazing. And if you're interested in really getting into this issue and learning about how to take care of your teeth and what to do, what not to do, just go to extremehealthradio.com/mouth. Super easy, mouth. And you'll be redirected over to their page and you can take a look at the summit. But he's also got some really cool products over at Aura Wellness as well. And we're an affiliate of theirs, so if you would like to support us, he's got some really, really great products. If you go to extremehealthradio.com/Aura, O-R-A, you'll be redirected over there to check out. He's only out of a couple products there, but
they're there.
They're there, and I think we're going to pick up some of those as well.
I think we are too. Our teeth are a huge, huge part in this getting healthy.
And what was he saying? He spoke with someone about how, I don't even know what the term he used off the air, but it was something about how the shape of the tongue relates to ADD and it wasn't autism.
The way that you learn how to form words.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that's going to be some really good information.
Yeah, just crazy stuff. So check his website out, aurawellness.com. And we also interviewed David Kennedy, episode 53, if you want to listen to that.
I put that in the notes here.
And Ramil Nagel, what episode was I think he was 21 or 22. We'll put a link to that on this show page, which is extremehealthradio.com/145. And if you have any questions or comments or whatever, you can always go to that site, extremehealthradio.com/145 or whatever show number, and post your comment in the box below. We'd love to have you comment and join the community that way. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook. We'd love to have you keep up to date with our shows and empowering information that we post on there. Mm-hmm. And that way you can like our stuff if you can, share it with your friends on there. That way we can spread the word about this empowering information to people.
And as my dad, my good old dad, always used to say,
what do you say?
Be true to your teeth and they'll never be false to you. I'm sure everyone's heard that one.
I love it.
If I had a quarter for every time he's joked about that.
Isn't that interesting? He's got great teeth.
I would be a rich lady. Yeah, he does have really good teeth.
Yeah, he doesn't have really any dental issues, does he?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Our family has very soft teeth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On his side,
I think it's more on my mom's.
Your mom, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Don't quote me on that, but you can quote me on my dad's quote.
I was thinking about writing a blog post. My family has really soft teeth. Kate Stellman. I might actually. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day. And let us know if there's anything we can do for you. If you have any questions, we'd love to help you out. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even as you educate yourself in the field of live food nutrition and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers or listeners medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog and during this podcast is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any of the information on this podcast or in this blog, or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content found here is for informational purposes only and is in no way intended as medical advice, as a substitute for medical counseling, or as a treatment or cure for any disease or health condition, and nor should it be construed as such. Always work with a qualified health practitioner.